Dry air, still gusty winds, just not quite as extreme. But let's back it out, and I promise we're going to get to a wind forecast in a moment here. I'm going to spend several minutes on what's happening with the weather. We've done a lot of like micro scale stuff. This spot, this spot, this spot. Let me show you more of a macro view of what's just broadly going on across our area, because I know if you're watching, it can get a little overwhelming just with everything we have happening. So we have several fires we're obviously monitoring. What you're looking at right here is a map. You see a lot of this is generally north of Los Angeles. And then not only do we have the fires marked here, but also you notice the evacuation zone. So if, we can have the control room kind of go place by place. Let's come into the Palisades fire now. So you're going to notice a couple of things. First of all, the acreage. It's more than 15,000 acres. You see the orange color around the Palisades fire. That's basically the fire footprint. And what is incredible when we look at this here, on the left side of the screen, notice that grayish white color right there? That is the burn scar from the Franklin fire around Malibu last month. We know that was a big fire. That was, I believe, about 4,000 acres. And you see how the Palisades fire, just in terms of the land that it covers, is multiple times the size of the Franklin fire in that burn scar area there on the left. And the fire went up to the burn scar. So that's pretty incredible. On the right side or east side of the Palisades fire, you can see how it's just barely encroaching on kind of the border of the Brentwood area. And then as we come in, I want to come in closer to Santa Monica if we can, because you'll see the borders now of the evacuation zone. So we've got the reddish, kind of pinkish color. That is the evacuation order. That's mandatory. And that changed this afternoon. It got extended into more of Santa Monica. So now kind of southeast or down the coast of San Vicente, including up to, if we come in a little bit closer, I believe, to Montana, and then from Montana, from the coast up to 11th Street. So that's an area that was new today that has a mandatory evacuation order. Then you see the yellow spots. Those are evacuation warnings, and I'll remind you that means that it's not mandatory, but in terms of the ready, set, go, go would be the order, the red, set, meaning kind of get ready to go if needed, would be in yellow. So you have the option to evacuate. It's suggested if you can, you should. And those yellow spots could potentially turn into mandatory red evacuation orders. And so that includes more parts of Santa Monica as well. All right, let's back it out now. Let's go look a little farther east up to the Eaton fire. Let's do that. We're going to skip over the Sunset fire in a moment. So here's the Eaton fire, which is now more than 10,000 acres. Again, this is a massive area right here. You see the large burn scar, and then you see the large area with the evacuation order and the evacuation warning. The warning goes all the way down to the 210. You see it includes parts of Pasadena. From the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen right here, huge area being affected by this one. And we know everything that's going on there. Our reporters have done an amazing job talking about it. Now let's back this out farther. We're going to kind of go in order of when the fire started. So if we can go up to the Hearst fire, so that's up around Sylmar. This one's smaller in size, still impactful. I believe around 700 acres was the estimated coverage of this one. And again, the red spots are mandatory evacuations. The yellows would be evacuation warnings. Then if we go to the right of that, or to the east of that, you see this. Now this is the Lydia fire. So it's kind of started just west of Ravenna. You see right there. Large area here, kind of wilderness area. Still some homes and businesses being impacted. I believe this one was around shortly a little more than 300 acres in size. And I know in the press conference we had a little earlier this evening that the officials were saying on this particular one, on the Lydia fire, that forward progress was stopped. And I believe that's the only, of all the fires, the only one where there's really been some good progress in containing it somewhat. And then the newest one that we're aware of is the Sunset fire. That's the one in the Hollywood Hills. So that's right in the center of your screen right there. And this one smaller, but, you know, we're going to, as we get updates on this, we know that acreage is going to grow because it's still weather-wise favorable for these fires to spread. And again, I'll reiterate, the red is the mandatory evacuation, and then yellow is an evacuation warning, which is not mandatory, but could change to mandatory evacuation orders at some point. Okay, so that's kind of like going around the map, showing you everything that's going on. I know you want to know what the wind forecast is like, so let's switch over to our weather graphics right now. We're going to talk still for several minutes about what the weather is looking like, if we can get over to weather one. And I want to mention, first of all, that red flag warnings continue all the way into Friday. Guys, let me know if we can do that. If not, we can maybe come back. But our weather graphics here are going to show that the red flag warning continues into Friday. You'll remember that this red flag warning was initially issued as a PDS red flag warning. PDS stands for particularly dangerous situation. That part of it has expired. So it's no longer a PDS red flag warning. It's essentially a regular red flag warning, more common, something more of what we're used to here as we go season by season. It's just been unusual that we happen to have 3 of these PDS red flag warnings just this season. And before this season, the last one was in 2020. Those are rare.
All right, we certainly appreciate our friends there at Fox 11. We'll be back into their coverage momentarily, but again, we do have to step away now for a 2-minute break. Want to leave you with just another shot of the devastation that is currently happening there in Southern California. As you can see, multiple spots where those firefighters are now responding, trying to put out multiple fires there in Los Angeles. Let's step away for that 2-minute break. On the other side, though, we will resume our coverage.
We're also hearing, to Adam's point, about how they're going to handle this, given all of the other fires in our area. They are asking for, Sunset Fire Command is asking for 2 additional strike teams. That's 10 more engines and additional air resources, because they're seeing just the threat of how destructive this one could be, and so quickly. So we have those mass evacuations for Hollywood, and now LAFD in the command post saying we need more resources. So we'll see if that comes to fruition.
And speaking of resources, this morning we were out. I was out with President Biden and Governor Newsom. President Biden was here mostly to see the birth of his great-grandson, but spent time at a fire station in Santa Monica, got a briefing, went back to Washington, will be at the Carter funeral tomorrow. But the White House just announcing a few moments ago that he's canceling a trip to Italy where he was supposed to meet with Pope Francis, because he is going to stay in Washington to oversee the federal response to this. So this is such importance to the federal government that it is now changing the president's plans because they are watching this so closely. Obviously, this is our local story, but we see most of the national news anchors coming here today. I mean, this is something that the whole country and really the whole world are looking at. And these images right now, Marla, I think will make that even more true because when so many people think of Los Angeles around the world, when you travel to other countries, they think of Hollywood. They think of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They think of the Hollywood sign. This is what people think of our city. And the fact that this is now, in danger, I think is going to make even more people focused on this story around the world.
And a place that we know well in Hollywood that we've done a lot of work with. I've volunteered there, Alex, you continuously year after year. Yep. Volunteer at the Dream Center. This is located in Hollywood. They open the doors to the less fortunate, and they will house you, and they have extended their help to anybody in any evacuation zone. And on the line now is the CEO, Matthew Barnett. Mr. Barnett, thanks so much for joining us tonight. You've opened your doors to all evacuees. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is. And tragically, I'm looking at all the fires and my heart just breaks. I'm literally in tears. It's apocalyptic looking out here and seeing everyone looking out and seeing the fires on the hillside. And we have over 100 beds ready right now. I mean, literally all night long we'll be there at the desk, ready to take anybody in. 2301 Bellevue Avenue, Los Angeles, California. I mean, we're just here to serve. We've been here for 30 years. And I've never been more heartbroken. I've never been more saddened to see, I can care less about the fact that I've been displaced, really. I mean, I'm in my office and my family, my dogs, everyone. I'm looking at the fire and watching you guys, and I'm just in absolute tears. And all we want to do is provide solutions. And we got great old hospital rooms that we use for all of our volunteers that come, in the summer to serve. But it's already ready to go. We got free meals a day, showers, room, everything. We just want to love on LA and take in anyone that's in need and just be there for this city that has just been so kind to us. And hopefully we've been kind in return, but we're ready, we're able, we're willing, we have the infrastructure in place, and we're ready to go.
Pastor, sorry, are you saying that you yourself are an evacuee as well?
Yeah, I'm by the Altadena fire. I've been without power for 30 hours or so, and I'm kind of the displaced, helping the displaced, but that's kind of the LA spirit.
Yeah, and your home is okay as far as you know?
So far, you never know with these winds changing, but so far so good, and I'm just here, and really my eyes are all on the mission right now, and that is just kind of being there for such a time.
Just give everybody a little bit of an update on the fires going on around us.
Well, and then
absolutely stunning.
Let's talk about that because this fire again. Not all that far from you. Are you worried that you may have to evacuate the Dream Center? Any indication of that?
Not yet. I can't imagine it getting as far, but I think it could. I mean, I think all those things are out the window now, the way these things are flying around, but we're going to stay here as long as we possibly can. We're going to push the envelope as long as we can to be here for people until we're kicking and screaming out of here because we were born for this day of adversity, and we were born for this season, and feeding people all day today, 9 to 5, coming by because people, can't go to work and losing a little bit of extra income and offsetting it by going to our food line that's open from 9 to 5 every day, and just giving groceries. So it's the best thing we could do is just throw every resource that we've had over the 30 years. The LA has allowed us to have by their kindness and generosity, and just making ourselves available. There's no, like you, 27 hours a day on the air. There's no clock pushing or anything like that. There's no punching in and punching out. It's all hands on deck, all hours of the day, all the time.
We've been in touch with one of your colleagues, Clint Carlton, who had reached out to me when we first needed evacuation centers and said, hey, the Dream Center's open. So we have been providing that information to our viewers now for well over 24 hours. Did you, in fact, see some evacuees from any of these fires? Have you taken some in thus far?
Oh, yes, we have. We've taken many in. We've had one family lost their entire house. They came in. They lost everything. We've had individuals come in. We have people calling now. I mean, I really believe by tomorrow, all 108 of those beds will be filled. And the good thing about it is we'll just be there for them however long it takes. That's the whole Dream Center. We give people the luxury of time to really take their time to rebuild their life properly. And so it's, I think reality is setting in. The first few hours it was a little slower, but now day 2, we're getting tons of calls. People are coming in now like crazy. Reality is setting in that maybe they just might not be able to go back for a while or come back to anything anymore.
Yeah. Well, if people want to help or get more information on what you guys do, it's dreamcenter.org. If you can donate, it's a great way to be able to help people as well. We love what they do and endorse what they do. Pastor Matthew, and if you want to say that address one more time as well for people that may be desperate for a place to come to right now.
Yeah, it's 2301 Bellevue Avenue, Bellevue, Los Angeles, California, and people are right there at the desk right now ready to receive anyone who comes in immediately.
Well,
you're all angels on earth.
Yeah, I mean, we view this coverage as a public service. We're doing this commercial free. We're doing it hour after hour as a way to inform the public. And I know you view your role very much as a public service. And we appreciate the work that you do day in and day out. Pastor Matthew Barnett from the Dream Center. I don't usually say this, but I'll say this to you. God bless you.
Oh, thank you. God bless you. Thank you for keeping us all informed. I think the whole city is captivated by your guys' work ethic and your determination and your 24/7 mindset for love for the city. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
All right, as you can see there, we were just tuned into Fox LA's coverage. Of course, they were talking there to Pastor Matthew Barnett. He is the CEO of the Dream Center. So if you aren't aware, the Dream Center does offer a food bank, clothing, and assistance programs for victims of disaster, domestic violence, drug addiction, human trafficking, and as well prisoners who are reformed and on the outside. So did want to get that in for you here on Live Now from Fox. We're going to take this opportunity to step away for our third commercial break of the hour, but on the other side, our coverage here of these devastating wildfires there in Southern California will continue.
As you can see, things are burning all around us. I live over by LAX, and I know the air quality around here is really bad. The ash is falling from the sky. You can see the plumes of smoke all around us. Have you ever seen But yeah, so as I was saying, I know I work today, but I'm not sure how this is going to impact. And then I started thinking, I mean, what about like all the people that work in the Palisades and the little shops and stuff, or that own those shops? You know, that's a lot of income that's going to be missed. That's going to really displace a lot of people. And I mean, hopefully they got, you know, family and stuff, but I mean, rent's so expensive around here that, you know, any job helps. And it's like, man, I feel for them. It's kind of sad that, you know, just so much is burned. It's like almost all the Palisades burned down. It's crazy. I know I took some footage of me, you know, at work, like right in our parking lot, and you can just see the smoke and the billowing clouds. And maybe I'll go up on the mountain and see what we can see up there. I know one guy came back and had a pretty good shot of the fires burning in the Palisades. But anyway, back to the program, and I hope this helps out with anybody wondering what's going on here in California.
Welcome into Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We are continuing right now with our coverage here on Live Now of these devastating wildfires that are out of Southern California. As you can see, we've given you several live looks there on the ground, but other big news is coming out of Washington at this hour. We now know that President Joe Biden is officially canceling his final overseas trip of this presidency just hours before he was set to depart for Rome and the Vatican, choosing instead to stay in Washington, D.C. to monitor the response to these devastating wildfires that are happening there in California. Biden, though, was originally scheduled to leave Thursday afternoon. This was going to be after eulogizing former President Jimmy Carter. As you can see right now, he is still lying in state there in Washington. Many are showing up to pay their respects. His ceremony will be tomorrow morning. Biden was going to leave after that to head to Italy, but that has now been canceled. Do also want to show you now this official statement there from the White House as well. This is from the press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, saying after returning this evening from Los Angeles, where earlier today he had met with police, fire, and emergency personnel, fighting the historic fires raging in the area, and approved a major disaster declaration for California, President Biden made the decision to cancel his upcoming trip to Italy to remain focused on directing the full federal response in the days ahead. Additional details to follow. Did want to get that update in for you here on Live Now from Fox. Let's continue on with our coverage partners there at Fox 11 in Los Angeles as they are continuing to talk to residents and others impacted by these devastating wildfires.
To get to that specific fire, it's near Runyon Canyon. What do you make of all of this?
I just think it's you know, it's a sad moment right now for LA, for Hollywood. It's, you know, we've had a lot to deal with all the fires going on, and for it to come to a place where everyone comes here and hikes and gets their relaxation on, and you know, it's just devastating. And it's so close. You've seen people, we offered to help people that were trying to move their things out. They were packing up, just putting all their valuables in it and taking off. Just really distraught. It's just really sad.
Absolutely, it is terrifying because you just never know. You've seen the devastation from the other fires. This is the 5th fire already in the last, since yesterday. It is just unbelievable. What did you manage to pack up and take?
Not much.
Great marketing ideas don't just fall from the sky. Innovative brands aren't built by
That's important right now. I think we just need to have faith and just hold prayers.
Well, thank you both so much for speaking with us. Hopefully your home will be just fine. You can see that firefighters are truly fighting this fire from above, and they're making those water drops. Again, this is the Sunset Fire that started around 5:30, and the blaze was small. It was just about 10 acres, and that has grown dramatically, threatening so many homes in this area. There's an evacuation order. It is mandatory, and originally I had the order for the area of Laurel Canyon Boulevard on the west, Mulholland Drive on the north, the 101 freeway on the west, Hollywood Boulevard on the south, and I understand now even the Walk of Fame. Is that correct, Marla and Alex? Can you add the two additional
yes, indeed.
spots that have been evacuated?
The Walk of Fame, the Dolby Theater, all that Hollywood and Highland corridor. Yes.
Yeah, so this is a very big fire, and it is threatening this entire area. Runyon Canyon, as these two gentlemen were talking about, that is a very popular place to hike. It is beautiful. You go up there, you get a view of the entire city. All of it right now. This is not a good sight.
Do you see a lot of LAPD officers? We're just getting word from the mayor of LA, of course, Karen Bash. She just tweeted moments ago that they're deploying LAPD officers to respond to the Hollywood area to help alleviate evacuation traffic.
Yes, we did see LAPD officers trying to, do traffic control. But take a look around, Joab. You can show there are a lot of folks who are just sort of standing around watching this from where we are. And there are families in their cars, and they really don't want to leave, because understandably they're concerned about. Here you go.
I'm so sorry. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. They're concerned about leaving their apartments, their homes. But as the firefighters always say, just, listen to the evacuation orders, pack up and leave, take whatever you can. But your life is more important than property. And that's always the good advice. As you know, in Altadena, the Eden fire, sadly, 5 people lost their lives, civilians. It is very possible that those folks were at home, decided to stay in the area when the orders were issued. We don't know at this time, but that's a possibility, and that's what was addressed during a press conference.
All right, Gina, we appreciate it so much. So this is a live picture from Gina Silva there on the ground in the Hollywood Hills covering the Sunset Fire. This is the newest fire on this Wednesday to break out. About 4 to 5 fires are active in our area in LA County, which is absolutely stunning, completely heartbreaking to see the devastation, whether you're in the Pacific Palisades or in Altadena, the Pasadena area, or in Sylmar. The list goes on, and unfortunately, it is growing tonight.
It is indeed, and we see those really nice cars, a reminder of some of the affluence of this particular neighborhood as well. So look at this. If we take this picture full, some Skyfox, this is the process of filling up for a water drop. So we see right there the plane or helicopter, hard to tell because it's pretty dark, getting the water there, and then is going to move towards the fire. So this is the good news, because we didn't have this last night, and we really needed it last night. And it is allowing them to make some progress on the Hollywood fire, the Sunset Fire. We do see it burning, but we don't see like what we saw last night, which things just exploded, completely out of control. It looks like they are making some progress on this thing, and hopefully we are going to see this thing put out before any structures are burned. This is a very different picture than what we saw last night, and is good to see, frankly, that the picture is a lot better than it was an hour ago.
We are awaiting to get a couple of interviews on our air, just so you know. LAFD Chief Kristen Crowley will be joining us soon, live on the air alongside LA City Councilwoman Nithya Raman. She will be joining the LA.
All right, we certainly appreciate our partners there at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. We do have to step away for our final 2-minute break of the hour, but stay right here with us. On the other side, our coverage of these devastating wildfires in Southern California continues.
Man, so as you can see, it's pretty crazy. I think I'm gonna use this commercial break to go grab some more coffee. But I'll be back and click it back on live when I get there, when I get here.
Welcome into Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We are continuing our coverage of these devastating wildfires happening right now in Southern California. If you're just now joining our coverage and you're unaware of what currently is happening there and which fires we're monitoring, I want to put up this graphic for you so you can see this is all from Cal Fires Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. These are the statistics that we have at this hour. The Palisades fire, which was the first one to start burning yesterday morning, that those fire response did respond to around 10 a.m. their time, said that it is now spread to nearly 16,000 acres, still at 0% containment. After that, a few hours later, the Eaton fire erupted, now still sitting at 10,600 acres. We haven't seen this number move much in the last few hours. The Hearst fire is also burning at 850 acres. The Woodley fire is currently at 30 acres, as well as the newest fire to break out there in Southern California, the Sunset Fire. This is in the Hollywood Hills, now causing mass evacuations there in Hollywood as well. It is currently sitting at 20 acres, 0% containment. So it's been a lot of devastation that we are continuing to follow here on our airwaves, of course, and also closely depending on our partners there at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. Let's go ahead and tune back into their coverage here on Live Now.
Back and see it with their own eyes, right? So unless they're being told that they can't come into the area, they're trying to come back and check on their homes and just praying and hoping for the best.
Well, you understand that and how anxious it is for a lot of people who are not being allowed back in their neighborhoods, especially in Pacific Palisades, who just don't know if their home is okay or not. And it's hard to tell. Some people have Ring cameras, but if the power goes out, some of those Ring cameras don't work. And so they just don't know. Laura Diaz, thank you for your continued reporting out there. We will continue to check back with you throughout the night as we are about to enter our, what would usually be our primetime programming here on Fox tonight. We are preempting that primetime programming so that we continue to bring you our live commercial-free coverage both on Fox 11, on Fox 11 Plus, which is channel 13, and on our Fox local app and our Fox LA app, foxla.com/live. All those places are places where you can watch us as we now follow multiple fires that are all burning at the same time. We're talking about the Sunset Fire, the Palisades Fire, the Eaton Fire, the Hearst Fire, all things that we are focused on. So as we approach the top of the hour, we're going to do a bit of a reset, and we'll be joined in a moment by LA City Councilwoman Nithya Raman. But first, here's a look at the latest of what's happening right now.
There's the fire, and there is nothing being done.
It's terrifying. There's no water north of Woodbury.
Everything in this neighborhood, Altadena is not existing right now.
We want to officially welcome you now that it has turned 8 o'clock, struck 8 o'clock, to the Fox 11 News and our extended coverage. I'm Marla Tejas alongside Alex Michelson. Our coverage, commercial-free, will continue tonight. The latest fire we're watching is what Sky Fox is over. This is the Sunset Fire in Hollywood Hills. This is in the district of LA City Council member Nithya Raman, and she joins us now. Right there she is, not on the phone, but on Zoom. We thank you so much for being with us tonight. What is the latest as it relates to the firefight in the Hollywood Hills? What do you know at this point?
So this has been called the Sunset Fire. Started off at when we identified it at 10 acres, but has changed a little bit. And we'll get more information about the size shortly. We have an evacuation order in place for this area, and I want everyone to be very clear that if you live in this evacuation area, now is the time to leave. The border of that evacuation area is Laurel Canyon to the west, the Mulholland Drive to the north, the 101 freeway to the east, and Hollywood Boulevard to the south. In that periphery is our evacuation zone, and we want every person who is impacted in that area to evacuate from the area as soon as possible. We have firefighters already out there. We have air support out there. We also have a number of police department officials who are helping to guide traffic in and out of these areas. And we want everyone who lives in those areas to take this advice seriously and to evacuate immediately. For those who need a place to go to, the city has set up an evacuation shelter at the Pan Pacific Park Gymnasium. It's a city facility that is at 7600 Beverly Boulevard. That, once again, that's the Pan Pacific Park Gymnasium at 7600 Beverly Boulevard. If you are evacuating and you need a place to go, that is the place to go. And I just want to remind everyone who is in that area or who is watching the fire from just outside that area.
No, I wanted to bring up also
calm,
that
follow orders,
I guess they had
stay
reported that they had already caught looters in the Palisades going after people
downloading the
down,
Watch Duty app.
Burned down homes.
Council member, in the last hour or so, it certainly appears from our shot from Sky Fox that some of these water drops have been really effective. I mean, have you started to see or hear about real progress in fighting this fire?
Humanity is sunk, I guess.
So one of the challenges with this fire is the location and the fact that the winds and the movement of the fire has been moving downhill. That being said, I think we are cautiously optimistic that the wind conditions that are out there, which are far less than what we were facing over the last 24-hour period, are going to enable, first of all, enable us to have air support in place, which we couldn't have over the past 24-hour period for much of it, and also enable us to be able to actually put real resources to addressing these flames and pushing them back as much as possible. So, I think I am nowhere near feeling optimistic, but I am at least grateful for the fact that the winds are nowhere near what they were, and that we have air support already in place, dropping immense amounts of water on that fire already.
How do you feel about the number of resources that are available to tackle it, given, of course, that there's the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire as well? I'm seeing that the Beverly Hills Fire Department is now monitoring the Sunset Fire. I'm also hearing that the command post for the Sunset Fire is already requesting more strike teams, I think about 10 more engines, which, leads you to believe that they are strapped and they need help.
Well, I'm not sure how best to describe it. I would say that what I've seen, I'm at the Emergency Operations Center right now, watching the deployment in real time from this central nodal point where they're coordinating all of the resources. What I have seen from what is being done is that they're putting everything possible towards addressing this fire and making sure that it does not grow in a neighborhood where there is so many people who are living. And so to me, the call for more resources is really about making sure that we are addressing this as rapidly as possible with everything that we have available to us, including possibly additional resources that we're asking for right now. But we already have additional resources here from other jurisdictions, and there is a number of personnel. I heard that there were already over 200 personnel deployed to be fighting this fire. And I'm hopeful that we can continue engaging with this fire with that level of intensity, given where it is in the city. This is the fire I never wanted to see as a council member, and I want it addressed as quickly as possible. That is what I'm seeing here at the Emergency Operations Center.
We're talking with Nitya Raman, who represents Hollywood on the LA City Council. We know in Hollywood there are some very iconic spots. The Hollywood sign, top among them. We also have the Dolby Theater. We have the Walk of Fame, other places like that. Obviously, every structure, everything is important, but is there extra resources meant on a strategy like this to try to extra protect some of these iconic structures?
I think we're very aware of where we have some of these really historic and iconic structures. At this moment, given the location of the fire as it stands, the hope is to really attack it with all of our resources to make sure it doesn't go to those other areas and impact some of these incredibly historic sites. So that is the goal right now. It's to make sure that first and foremost, lives are saved, that we are not losing anybody, that people are not getting hurt. That is the absolute primary goal here. That is what everyone here is talking about. That is why these evacuation orders are so incredibly important. That is why following the advice of fire and police personnel out in the field is so important. And I hope that people take those orders seriously and that people exit, because that is the ultimate priority here at the Emergency Operations Center. We're also trying to preserve structures and historical artifacts, of course, but really our primary focus is on saving lives and making sure that people can exit these impacted areas as safely as possible.
Yeah, and of course, I'll reiterate that. Number one is to save lives, and then to save those homes in the Hollywood Hills and all the iconic landmarks around it. Councilmember Raman, when we first got wind of this and we saw those first flames, we had a vantage point of the Hollywood sign itself, and the flames were right there in front. And of course, we worry about that. More importantly, the people and the homes. But to your point, you were saying that the flames, they're going downward, so they're burning away from the Hollywood sign. We know that it's still standing and okay at this hour.
At this hour, we're not seeing the Hollywood sign as a threat. If that changes, I can communicate that to you. I am not, I think Chief Crowley is the person who can speak to fire movement and to wind changes. Those wind changes are really what's going to be impacting the movement of the fire. And so I don't even want to speak to that. What I can speak to, again, as I said, is the intensity with which we're attacking these flames right now to ensure that they do not grow.
Yeah.
They absolutely do not grow. And that is again, that is the goal of getting all of these resources in place. That is the goal behind asking for additional resources right now, right away. And I'm hopeful that, again, that with all of these resources that we can attack this with the intensity and efficiency that it needs to happen in a place that is so populated, so heavily populated. I mean, this is right in the heart of Los Angeles.
And to that point, this will be my last question, just about traffic, about getting out of there, because it is so heavily populated on a good night, on a regular night. Where should people go? How do you deal with traffic, management tonight?
So we have already secured additional deployment from the Hollywood Division police officers who are very, very familiar with the neighborhood, who know every ingress and egress point and have staffed up at every ingress and egress point into the neighborhoods and are directing people where to go. They have also almost instantaneously made the request for additional resources those resources are either on their way or are already stationed and deployed to help with that traffic management. And so I think I would say to everyone who is leaving the area, follow the guidance of Hollywood PD. They are here with the latest information. They're in touch with our command posts in the area and with the Emergency Operations Center, and they will guide you in the best direction to go. And I encourage everyone to follow the advice that they're getting, because they're in constant communication with the rest of the city and how we're deploying these resources and what we're seeing on the ground.
Councilmember Nithya Rahman, we thank you so much for taking the time out. Of course, she represents part of this area that is on fire right now.
Yes.
The Sunset Fire in the Hollywood Hills. We thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you so much. And if I could say one more thing, this is obviously the moment we never wanted to see here in Council District 4 in the Hollywood Hills. And I want to ask everyone else who is in Los Angeles, if you can stay home, if you can keep our streets clear, if you're not in the evacuation areas, leave our streets free for our emergency responders and for people who need to leave the impacted areas and shelter in place. Make sure you're getting your updated information on the Watch Duty app or on LAFD's alerts website. Refresh that page, stay informed, and as much as possible, leave the streets clear for people who urgently need to leave these areas.
Yeah, this is a part of town that talks about tourism so much, and usually the message is come here, come to Hollywood. Tonight, the message is stay away and let us be safe. Thank you so much, Nithya Rahman, LA City Council.
Thank you for covering this. Thank you for getting the word out.
All right, now to Al.
All right, we certainly appreciate our partners there at Fox 11 in Los Angeles, of course, speaking with those local officials who are giving out critical information at this time concerning the latest fire that is now broken out there in Southern California. As you can see, we are looking at aerial shots there above the Hollywood Hills, showcasing the Sunset Fire that has now erupted. So many fire crews are now on the ground and using air support as well to try to put out these flames. We do want to let you know that we do have a latest tweet as well from the mayor of Los Angeles. I want to show this to you on your screen. She's saying, Mayor Karen Bass has saying that a mandatory evacuation order is now in place for residents between Runyon Canyon and Wattles Park. As you can see there on your screen, those are some of the boundaries. If you are familiar at all with the Los Angeles area, maybe you've taken a trip there as a tourist or a former resident there in LA County, Runyon Canyon is one of those iconic spots that so many folks visit when in need there to get in a good hike. It has iconic views there of the entire LA skyline. So certainly going to be keeping a close eye on this latest fire that has now broken out. I want to leave you with some more live pictures here as we head to our first 2-minute commercial break of the hour. On the other side, our coverage, though, here on Live Now will continue.
Yeah, I know it's already kind of hit close to home for me. One of the girls that I work with, her family home burned down in the Palisades. So it's like, man, just...
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Furniture, because we have professional grade supplies for every industry.
When people you know are affected, it hits a little harder.
Next day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an
Trying to make sure I don't catch the commercials, so it doesn't. I don't know. I'm hoping this right here doesn't do a copyright. But I looked up, free to stream stuff about the fires. So hopefully this is all good. I'm not going to go too long. I wasn't planning on streaming tonight, so. But I just share with everybody some of the craziness that's happening down here. I find it kind of crazy that so many fires that started up in like 2-day period.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. We're continuing our coverage here of the multiple wildfires that are affecting Southern California. As you can see on this map that we have up here on your screen, courtesy of Cal Fire, the Palisades fire nearing 16,000 acres. That's the one that is going to be the nearest to the coast.
Yeah, so I'm like right down here in Inglewood, around this area
as well. The newest fire that is to now break out in the center of your
we're
screen
pretty good, but you can see it's like
fire. That's in the Hollywood Hills, currently burning at about 20 acres.
To
the northeast of that, the Eaton fire
like
is approaching 11,000 acres, and
10.
to the northwest of that is the Hurst fire, now burning at 850 acres. Heartbreaking to see all of the devastation that is currently going on there in Southern California. I want to show you a few live vantage points that we have of the fires that are currently burning. We've seen houses topple, we've seen businesses burned to the ground over the last few hours, but still at this time, the resilience remains of all of those first responders working and doing their very best to make sure that they're able to fight the
I guess like maybe the wind carried some of the embers. I could see like
Did want to show
the
you a
wind
few of
carrying
those
embers
pictures.
from
We now want to
Palisades
go
over to
back to our
Hollywood.
friends there on the ground at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. They've been doing a fantastic job showing us and listening to residents there as well as they react to the devastating news of these wildfires continuing to spread.
Thank you, and hopefully your home will stay untouched.
Most definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm going to get back to it. Have a blessed night.
Like
you too.
Right
yeah,
now
he was helping one of his neighbors out there put out a fire. And like I said, firefighters here, the LAFD is doing an amazing job. They are battling this from the ground and also from above. We've heard those choppers. We've seen the water drops. And in fact, I was telling Joe Perez, the photojournalist I'm with tonight, said if we get too close, we might actually get wet. So we have to be just, when we hear those helicopters, we have to just move down a little bit because we could get wet. But a lot of firefighters here are out here, multiple engines. They're battling this one. This is such a densely populated area, and obviously there's a huge danger should these flames start up a new fire and start up a fire in this neighborhood. There are so many homes, so many apartments, and we talked about the mandatory evacuations. This is the fire that started around 5:30, just with about 10 acres, and it has exploded. This was around the 2300 block of Solar Drive, and now there are so many evacuation orders and people are frustrated. Some people don't want to leave, but it's really for their own good, for their safety. Firefighters are saying just leave, access open in case they have to go inside to battle the blaze. Hopefully that won't be the case and they can battle this fire from above and get it under control before it sparks another fire.
Can we talk about the contrast between what you saw last night and what you're seeing tonight? I'm thinking about your picture 24 hours ago in Altadena when the winds was whipping you in every direction. You could barely stand up. Ashes were coming in every direction. It was so windy that there was no water dropping at all. Tonight, it looks like the wind relatively calm, and you do see those water drops. This is a real advertisement for those water dropping helicopters, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, Thank goodness for the weather changing. You can see, if you look at the trees, there's no movement. It was insane last night. Those winds were violent. Just, impossible for any aircrafts to do their job. But now you can hear it. Can you hear it? They're flying above us. They're probably going to make another drop, perhaps not necessarily where we are close because they just dropped, but they are definitely doing their job. There are ground crews here going up Runyon Canyon right now, as you can see, and there are several homes. I've been told there are a couple of homes up there that are obviously in danger, and they're making sure, taking care of structure protection. And of course, we've got to move out of the way here.
Yeah.
And Gina, LAPD is also helping in making sure that people stay out of the area so that firefighters can do their job.
Well, and for your knowledge, because I know you're interacting with so many people who may need a place to go, Hollywood High School on Highland Avenue, that has just opened as an evacuation center as well. So Hollywood High School Evacuation Center, you can let folks know if they need a place to go.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Gina, thank you so much for your reporting. Let's get back to the Palisades fire. Chelsea Edwards, she was there along PCH much of last night. She's back in the Palisades, and I understand that you have another structure burning behind you.
Coming to you again.
Do we have Chelsea? Okay. In the meantime, that was a nice water drop that we just witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time, Marla, since we've been doing this, and we started our coverage yesterday at 10:30 in the morning, and we're now doing this tonight at 8:20. We haven't taken a commercial since. And this is like the first fire where we've seen progress. Like we've seen them actually start to put out a fire. Yesterday was just every time we looked at something, it exploded and just kept getting bigger and more homes and all the rest of it. And this looks like more, frankly, like a typical firefight that we would see in Southern California when you put a lot of water on something, you don't have crazy winds.
My dog had to go
LAFD
outside,
is so smart. They are able to knock this thing down, and that's great. Chelsea and her crew obviously getting ready. Chelsea, you are on right now. I don't know if you can hear us yet. When you can, all right, why don't you show us, talk about where you are,
even
because
taking my
this
dog for a walk,
firefight in Palisades going a lot
I can
worse
feel
than
it in
what
my
we're seeing
lungs how bad the air was.
Oh,
we didn't. I mean, we only did like 3/4 of a mile instead of the full mile today.
So we approached from the 405. We approached going westbound along Sunset, and as you drive, there's obviously no service. There's no lights anywhere, so it's hard to see. But you can just see the shells of home after home after home, building after building. We're kind of near the Palisades Village right now, and I want to show you this church. This is the Community United Methodist Church of Pacific Palisades. Look at this destruction. I mean, hardly anything left standing. These beams have been smoldering what looks like for hours. No firefighters have been here putting any water on it. I mean, the good news about this particular structure is that it's got these rock walls on either side of it. That's obviously the only thing that is going to be left standing at the end. And you can see this this tower in the background. I'm not sure what this was or what this is, but that is still standing a tiny bit. But this is the scene that we are seeing over and over and over again as you drive throughout different neighborhoods in the Pacific Palisades. It is like something out of a movie. I mean, it's staggering the amount of devastation that this community has seen. Again, we're right down the street. We're on Via de la Paz, so
like
we're very close to the Pacific Palisades, the village. When you drive along there, the facades of so many of those businesses, everything is just gone. And again, it's a really eerie thing at night because there are no lights. The only light that you can see are glows from places like this. So you can see the fire glows from homes that are actively burning, and that's it. There are no lights. There's no electricity. There's no cell service. The only reason that you're able to see us right now is because of a Starlink connection that we just got today. That's the only reason we're able to hear and communicate with you guys right now, because there's absolutely no cell service at all in this whole area. It's also a ghost town, which is a good thing. There's no people. You can't drive onto Sunset Boulevard. You can't get this far. So there's nobody walking around. There's nobody driving, which just creates, again, this really eerie, apocalyptic kind of vibe as you're driving around. I mean, scenes like this, there's just nothing left here. I mean, you look at these what appear to be wooden beams that are just collapsing on themselves. Everything that was inside this church is gone. I mean, it really does look like the only things that will be left standing are these rock walls, parts of these rock foundations. You can see over here as well, parts of the outlines of it, of some more of these rock structures. So those will be the only things left standing. But the crazy thing is, on Via de la Paz, all the structures around this are still standing. So you see situations like this where entire neighborhoods are completely flattened. There's not a single home on some streets. And then areas like this where you've got one thing burning, but everything around it is still intact. So it's going to be interesting to really take count of the destruction and of how many structures have burned and how they burned. Because it's just, when you're looking at it, it seems like a lot of these are just ember driven, like an ember dropped on these buildings or on one of these buildings, because that's the only thing that's on fire. Everything else is left standing. We're also feeling these winds kind of kicking up. I don't know if you can kind of see the smoke and the embers flying this way, but we've just been feeling that in the last, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes. There are these winds that have really been kicking up here, kind of ripping through, and they're just fanning the things that are left burning. But again, there's really nothing left standing on any of the structures that have been burning, because there just has not been an active firefight to put these things out. Everything that has burned is really, it appears to be a total loss. So unbelievable destruction here in the Pacific Palisades. So many people are going to be affected by this and are just, it's just going to be such a long process for so many people.
Like I said, I wasn't planning on
Chelsea, you were there last night. The winds were
so I'm
howling.
Go ahead
How
and
do you
wrap
compare
this
night
up.
to night?
You guys say a prayer for the
I would say
people
this
that
is
have been
different. We were
displaced
also in a
and
different
lost
location,
everything.
and that might have something to do with it. We were on
And hopefully
PCH
tomorrow
last
brings
night,
better
and
news.
that
With
was
that,
hurricane. I mean,
I'm not
it
gonna rate out
felt like when I've
tonight.
covered hurricanes on the East Coast in the past. This doesn't feel like that, but it's still very strong.
My heart
This
goes out,
this
man.
doesn't
My
feel
heart
like a
goes out.
typical windy day. This feels
Everybody
like an
have a good night.
extraordinarily windy day. I mean, look at these